3 years from now, you'll see the fruits of all of that labor when in 2028 we have opening day out here on the Las Vegas Strip.
That was June 23rd, 2025, and that was maybe the most hated man in all of baseball trying to pull the wool over all of our eyes once again. And I'm not talking about Rob Manfred. John Fisher, owner of the A's, hosted Rob and his cronies and broke ground on the proposed $1.75 billion Las Vegas stadium that day with the goal of being ready for the 2028 season. On the face of it, things finally looked to be taking shape with the A's relocation to the desert. They finally had a city, they finally had a site, heck, they even had the construction equipment lined up and ready to go behind him. Major League Baseball on the Las Vegas Strip is happening, baby! Well, about that. What if I told you that this stadium, no matter what John Fisher will lead you to believe, isn't getting built? And I'm not sure why no one is talking about it. Did you realize that the construction equipment that was in the background of that aforementioned groundbreaking ceremony? Not there for actual construction. Nope, Fisher just rented them that day for the ceremony. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. In today's video, I give you 5 reasons why the A's Las Vegas ballpark won't actually get built, and why Las Vegas is just, as author David Lengel put it in his excellent article, Debacle in the Desert, nothing more than another stop on John Fisher's never-ending, would-be stadium tour. Stick around to the end too, as I do my best to keep the vibes as high as can be by actually finding a couple of positives in this field of turds. Welcome to Good Vibes Baseball. Please be sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Helps me out a ton, and I do appreciate each and every one of you legends. Now let's get into the good vibes, shall we? Stadiums aren't cheap. The materials and labor required to build an MLB ballpark from the ground up can be staggering. The A's? Well, they're not immune to this. The announced projected cost for the A's Las Vegas Stadium is $1.75 billion. But get this. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Fisher admitted that the total cost is probably going to be closer to $2 billion, and this is just in the 6 months since they announced the project. With uncertainty in the markets and interest rates, that cost could even go up. Did you realize that right now in Clark County, the county that Las Vegas lies within, schools aren't being built due to rising construction costs combined with a lack of funding? There was even a group called Schools Over Stadiums who gathered over 100,000 signatures in support of repealing public funding of the stadium in order to use that money for schools. Or did you realize that the Wynn Resorts announced earlier this year that they were putting their own renovation plans on hold, all because of rising construction costs? It's a real issue, and John Fisher is not immune to this. Which leads us to the next reason the stadium most likely is not getting built. Since becoming owner of the A's in 2005, John Fisher has built up quite the reputation with baseball fans as one of, if not the cheapest owners in all of baseball. Do you remember all of the issues with the Coliseum? And not just towards the end of its time as the A's home either. We're talking sewage, possums, all sorts of nasty, and for years. But it wasn't just the Coliseum though. Fisher refused to put any money into that actual team either. How many stars did the A's have to get rid of because they weren't going to pay them? It's crazy to think about. So call me skeptical if you want, but do you really believe that Fisher is going to spend over $1 billion of his own money to get this ballpark built? Because that's what is going to happen. Fisher has already publicly admitted that the total estimated cost is close to $2 billion. As of July 31st, 2025, Fisher has secured a $300 million loan. Clark County has agreed to provide up to $380 million, and Aramark, the food and beverage company, are investing $175 million into the project as a part of their deal with the A's. And credit where credit is due, that food and beverage deal is the highest in sports history. But in total, we are looking at just under $900 million, or just $1.1 billion less than the estimated cost. It's also reported that Fisher has begun the process of selling MLS's San Jose Earthquakes, which has an evaluation of $600 million. So there may be another large sum coming in, but here's the thing. That $600 million not included, Fisher actually did pledge to spend $1.1 billion of his own money on the project. The money is there. But again, when has he ever shown that he's willing to spend his own money on anything before? And we're already seeing that with this project. Remember that $380 million in public funding? Well, John Fisher did pledge to only use $340 million of it. Take that with a grain of salt. But the real issue? He can't touch any of that money until he spends at least $100 million of his own money. And guess what? As of July 31st, 2025, he spent just half of that. And that was just on planning and development. I wonder how much that construction equipment cost to rent just for the day, eh? Feels like if Fisher was really committed, he'd be spending that money to get construction going now before those costs keep rising. But that would involve a commitment. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but my takeaway from the whole Howard Terminal Stadium debacle is that John Fisher is a bit of a dirtbag who has commitment issues. It doesn't help that he never actually explains why he does things, but I digress. With Oakland, he had a 55-acre lot with over $750 million in public funding right on the water, and he wouldn't pull the trigger. He literally got everything he wanted and still wouldn't do the deal. Things haven't changed since moving to Vegas, though. I know it may seem like I am hung up on this, but I still can't believe that he rented construction equipment for that groundbreaking ceremony. If you're truly committed, shouldn't you need that equipment to, break the ground? You don't seem that committed to getting this thing done if you don't need the construction equipment to actually construct something right away. Or what about that $100 million he hasn't spent yet to simply unlock the public funds? What's he waiting on? Costs to go up? Or what about the site itself? You are seeing a time-lapse of the site from June 9th, 2025 through July 30th, 2025, or almost 2 months of work. Notice anything? Me either. I'm not an expert, but aside from making one big dirt hill, a bit of a road over there on the left, and building the tent for the groundbreaking ceremony, it doesn't look like any progress has really been made. It's not just those though. Did you know that John Fisher actually changed the location of the stadium in a 24-hour period earlier in 2025 before landing on the current 9-acre site? Or can you tell me why the A's are not playing in Las Vegas this season? The Aviators have maybe the best AAA stadium in baseball. Plus, it would have been a great way to build roots in a market that is smaller and already populated with 3 professional sports teams in the Raiders, Aces, and Golden Knights. But nope, Fisher didn't want to lose the TV money by leaving their current market, which isn't unreasonable. But if you're going to do that, then why not use the Sacramento name for the next few seasons? Instead, you just upset the very fans that you want to come watch your team for 3 seasons, while also not building any sort of a foundation with the Las Vegas fan base. Which takes us to reason number 4, why this stadium, it's never getting built. I'll admit that I never truly thought that the A's would leave Oakland, especially after it appeared that the city seemed on board. The A's needed a new stadium. They have an owner who is valued at $3 billion. The city was willing to give them funds to build not just their dream ballpark, but also turn around an entire neighborhood. It almost made too much sense. The A's moved to Las Vegas? The opposite. It does not make any logical sense in any way. TV market-wise? Well, you're just leaving a top 10 market for a top 40 market. Oakland had already lost the Warriors and Raiders, leaving you as the sole occupant that side of the bay. You left that to compete with the NFL and WNBA, and in a smaller overall market? Oh, it's also the gambling capital of the world. Baseball already has a complicated history with betting, so why not have a team call it their home? That makes sense. But that's the thing. If any of this made sense, we wouldn't even be talking about it. The A's would be opening their new ballpark in Oakland, on the waterfront, and not in the middle of the desert. But here's the thing. I can't believe I'm saying this, but all of this might sort of be unfair to John Fisher.
What the did you just say?
There's a chance that all of this, well, it's not on purpose. Is it possible that John Fisher is just a really bad businessman who deep down wants to prove that he can just do this, and he just happens to stink? Let's look at the facts. His fortune is not self-made. He's the son of Donald Fisher, who founded the Gap clothing brand. According to SF Gate, he started a real estate business after graduating college that worked with his parents' company, The Gap, but it tanked. Their words, not mine. Fisher then went to work for the family managing their investments as the president of a company called Pisces Inc. Essentially, he was in charge of investing the family's fortune. And to his credit, he supposedly convinced his dad to buy a stake in the Giants to help keep the team in San Francisco in the 90s. But you tell me, Has John Fisher ever led a successful business on his own? If anything, the A's have won despite him. He has built the reputation as cheap, but what if he's just scared? Scared to spend his family's money on something for it just to fail? I get it. But as I promised, this story isn't all bad. You want to know the best part of this story? No, not the rented construction equipment. It's the fact that no matter what, this story ends well. Seriously. Outside of the invention of time travel allowing us to go back and keep the A's in Oakland, I see this ending in one of two ways. There's a world where I am completely wrong. John Fisher sees the writing on the wall and realizes he's going to have to spend money to get this thing built, and he actually does it. To heck with the rising construction costs. Maybe Fisher does spend and shows that he doesn't have commitment issues. Maybe he makes this make sense, isn't just actually a bad businessman, and Las Vegas gets a brand new, retractable roof stadium right on the strip just as the A's young talent is entering their respective primes and everyone thrives. Imagine Nick Kurtz mashing his first home run in Las Vegas. Crazier things have happened. There is also a world where John Fisher realizes that he's not built for this, and finally sells the team to someone who is willing to invest the capital needed to get a stadium built. Is that in Vegas, though? Only time will tell. That's gonna do it for today, baseball fans. Thanks so much for watching. Do you think the A's Stadium is actually going to get built in Las Vegas? Comment below with your thoughts. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and please smash that like button if you enjoyed yourself. I know I did. But until next time, baseball fans, cheers!